What's up, guys? It's me. I am back with another video, back with another NASCAR diecast review. And it's a truck diecast review. We don't get very many of those nowadays, now do we? So this is pretty cool. This is also the first diecast that this particular truck team has gotten. So this is one that, I like to say this often with smaller teams getting their first diecast made, drivers getting their first diecast made. And this isn't certainly a driver that's getting his first one made, but for the team, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that they'd end up being, rarer in the future and harder to get and probably more expensive to get eventually. So I would get this one now while you have the chance. But this is a guy who in recent years among the NASCAR fan base has gotten a bit controversial, let's say. I believe I made a video about him a year or two, a year or two ago, something like that. But this is Matt DiBenedetto and the number 25 Rackley roofing truck for Rackley War Racing. So, with that being said, let's get the diecast out of the box and get on with the review. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's honestly crazy to think that we still got a Matt DiBenedetto diecast after he ended up going down to the trucks and after everything that's happened with him. And with stuff that's happened with him, it's like, you're probably just like, well, what has he done? Be like, I'm going to be honest with you. It's one of those, if you know, type situations, type beats, if you will. Again, I believe I made a video about him a while back. If I did, and I scroll through and find it, I might link it down in the description below if you want to watch. There's probably more, I'm pretty sure there's probably more that's happened since, relatively speaking, but Matt DiBenedetto, okay, again, if we're just looking purely at his story in racing, not anything off the track, not any of his personal shit, whatever. When you look at him from an on-track perspective, he's had a wild ride. Specifically, you just look a couple of years ago, back 2019, I believe, or even before then, nobody really knew him. He had races every now and again where he'd maybe finish above where people would expect him to. But people go back to 2019 and the race at Bristol. The race he almost won. Now, it's crazy is that he had that little bit of contact with Ryan Newman late. And I think that contact probably tightened his car up to where Hamlin was able to catch him. You can make the argument that even if he didn't make contact with Newman, Hamlin probably could have caught him. If a caution happens, Hamlin would have absolutely beat him. He probably wouldn't have even finished second. But considering the moment and the circumstances surrounding that race, with the announcement of what was happening with the Levine family racing, that he was going to end up getting booted from the ride for Christopher Bell. And then, of course, the next year, Levine ended up going away. Bell would get the 20, and, Jones got moved and all this other stuff. It was a very emotional moment. And I think DiBenedetto is one of those guys that he really does wear his emotions on his sleeve. Sometimes to his benefit, sometimes to his detriment. But, when he got tapped to replace, or when it came out that Paul Menard was going to be leaving and that DiBenedetto was tapped for the ride. By the way, why does the War logo, on camera, the War logo down here looks like it says WAP. That's kind of funny to me. But when he got tapped to drive the 21 car for the Wood brothers, yeah, it's not a massive step up in equipment. And I think people kind of get lost on, and I think people kind of get lost on that because, yeah, Ryan Blaney won for them. And DiBenedetto's name's not lined up properly right there. But yeah, Ryan Blaney won for them, in the mid 2010s, and they've, since then, they've eternally been one win away from 100 as an organization. And everybody's wondering, who's going to be the guy to pull it off? And I think some kind of looked at DiBenedetto and thought, well, if he can continue to improve, take what he did at Bristol and improve upon that, maybe he's got a chance. And I think outside of that Bristol race, there was, Las Vegas was a track that he if I remember correctly, Las Vegas was a track he would find a way to be there near the end and finish top 5 or 10. I think when the race that Kurt Busch beat his brother Kyle to win at Vegas, I can't remember. I think that was in the playoffs, was it? I remember DiBenedetto, I think, being in the top 5 or 10 there. The spring 2020 race, I believe he was in the top 5 or 10 or so. Or if not, he had been up there. But it just never happened. And for the most part, he was mediocre. He made a playoff appearance and was behind the 8 ball from the start. I believe that was 2020. And it just didn't work. And then, and then he ended up getting let go by the Wood brothers. Well, that was a saga in of itself, because originally it was Matt DiBenedetto was going to finish out the season. I believe it was 2021. Austin Cindric was going to get the 21 the next year. And then Brad Keselowski announced that he was leaving for RFK to become part owner, part driver there. And everything changed to where then Cindric went from getting the 21 to the 2. And instead of DiBenedetto potentially staying in the 21, that ride ended up going to Harrison Burton. And DiBenedetto, if I remember correctly, the way he made it sound was he didn't expect it. He didn't think it was coming. And it blindsided him in a way. But like us fans, we all knew this was happening. There was no way DiBenedetto was staying in the ride because he just wasn't good enough. I get it. It's Wood Brothers. They haven't been that good for a long time. Not since the days of like David Pearson or something like that. Maybe later. And that's no disrespect to the Wood Brothers. It is incredible that they're still in the sport, and it's awesome that they are. But they're a mid team. They're mid. And I think we can all agree on that. And DiBenedetto talking, I remember one of the things that I remember DiBenedetto saying or reading about was that, he wouldn't go down to the lower series. He felt like he deserved to stay in Cup. And, well, he ended up in the Truck Series. And then last year at Talladega, so, it's Talladega, which is another track that he came close to winning at a couple of times in the Cup Series. But at Talladega, and this will forever be disputed because there are shots that show Brett Holmes in front of Matt at the line. Shout out Brett Holmes. But Matt DiBenedetto finally got a win in the top 3 series in NASCAR. And, I mean, whether you love him or hate him, whether you agree with some of his antics and personal stances and shit or not, he finally got a win. And I think in some ways we can rejoice on that because we all wondered, when was it going to happen? It didn't end up happening in Cup. And I don't necessarily think DiBenedetto will ever get back to the Cup Series. Certainly not anytime soon. Maybe one day. But he can at least say he won a race, which is something that us plebs, us normal people, people who don't do this ourselves, and a lot of drivers who have made it into NASCAR can't say that they've done. Even if it's only one win for the entire rest of his career, a win's a win. And it will be disputed because it does look like Brett Holmes beat him on the line, shenanigans and all that, but he won. And nobody can take that away from him. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below. By the way, in all my rambling, I do want to say the truck looks awesome. The blue looks absolutely vibrant. Great paint scheme. With that being said again, though, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos and streams. I will catch you all next time. Peace.